So I'd like to quickly begin by just sort of introducing DeSci World, what we are, and sort of where we came from. So DeSci World is essentially a community infrastructure platform for the DeSci space. We've been in production since October of last year. It was, how do I say, theorized. It was conceptualized in Lisbon, in LisCon, surrounded by a bunch of brilliant people. And what first started out as sort of an exploration into NFTs and DeSci turned out to be something much more substantial and, in my opinion, much more useful for the DeSci space. So we actually have a range of products and services available to the community to sort of get people onboarded into DeSci, which we'll go into a bit more detail about later. But just broadly, we have a DeSci dashboard, which is an information aggregator for the DeSci space. We have an NFT DeSci NFT launchpad service, which allows would-be DeScientists to help them to onboard into NFTs to help build their communities. And we also have a few other sort of community incentivization platforms being built, such as an aggregated job board, like a job board, the entire DeSci space. We have a blog. We have an aggregated events calendar for the whole DeSci space. So general information aggregation for the DeSci space to kind of make it much easier to get involved. And lastly, but not least, I think the thing that I'm personally most excited about within DeSci World is we're building out a peer-to-peer sort of interaction platform for two things. Firstly, for research funding, peer-to-peer research funding, such that you can connect researchers and funders and researchers together in a peer-to-peer manner through the blockchain, and also a peer-to-peer interaction between researchers and those that and sort of community members that can do research from a distributed in a distributed manner. For example, if somebody wants to hire a bunch of people around the world to test the soil samples in their local area and send the results back to them, they can do so through the DeSci World community platform, this community as a service platform. And this essentially opens up citizen science much more sort of freely, and will hopefully allow researchers to expand their horizons in terms of what they can afford to research. So that's a kind of a very high level overview of what DeSci World is. I don't want to go into too much detail on each one because we'll go into that shortly. But the team sort of it's been put together in a really interesting manner. We've all come from around the world. We're all going to introduce ourselves shortly, but it's just the conception of DeSci World is a really great example of how this Web3 ecosystem, this Web3 sort of new paradigm is taking place. People that didn't really know each other before have only just met really in the past few months, got to know each other really well, found a role in which we are all comfortable with and all performing well. And together we've built this amazing platform. So DeSci World's future is looking pretty bright. There's a couple of very interesting things happening in our roadmap, including a token launch, which we can talk about maybe at the end. But this is in a few months' time. But yes, in the meantime, I want to actually pass over to each individual teammate so we can get a little small overview of everybody. And I'm going to pass it over first to Jelani, who is the co-host here. So Jelani, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Absolutely. So it's great to be here. It's great to have our first introduction to the Twitter Spaces and just the kind of D-side space in and of itself. So, as Josh said, my name is Jelani. Um, I am a scientist by training, specifically I have a PhD in neuroimmunology. And my foray into DeSci was kind of serendipitous, and I think it followed a lot of the similar trajectories that we've heard other DeSci advocates and individuals in the DeSci space um, and how they came in here. So, after I got my PhD, I kind of forayed into the pharma industry. I was heavily disillusioned by the academia during my PhD, the politics, the backdooring, the incessant need for doing things that you're not actually trained for, right? We're trained as scientists. We end up just being grant monkeys trying to find publishing and or trying to publish and find money. And that never interests me. So I took a foray into the industry because that's really the only other arm that exists. And so I worked in a biotech launchpad, which worked to basically facilitate the transition of academic research to the pharma sphere, help commercialize, help develop IP, and the likes. And I quickly, again, became disillusioned there because you see firsthand the misalignment, right? There's a lot of science that has a lot of potential and really good ideas and potential to change and help the world, but because of the perspective of the granting agencies or the funding agencies, it doesn't get much interest or funding at all, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the bottom line that counts. It's not really science as a public good, but more science to make a profit. And so I quickly stepped out of that, and at the same time stumbled into the world of DSci, um, primarily through VitaDAO and the molecule. And then serendipitously, Josh had put out a tweet saying that that DeSciWorld was looking for a core team of developers to help push it to its next level. And so I jumped on that right away. Was very excited to start, being able to build in the space. And so I've been here ever since. I've been enjoying my foray into the space that we'll get a chance to speak about more later on.
Thanks, Jelani. Let me rescue you so you can go and answer the door. So yeah, awesome from Jelani. You can see that Jelani has a lot of experience in space in terms of sort of being in biotech investment DAOs, being in big pharma itself, and it's this story of disillusionment leading to wanting to find a new way, a better way, is basically the DSci space in a nutshell. So I'm just going to pass over to Ryan. Ryan, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Sure. I also saw Josh's tweet and sort of stumbled into DeSciWorld that way. I do not have a background in science, but that's kind of one of the fun things about this space is that there's so much opportunity, and science is evolving, to say the least, and it can benefit from so many different perspectives, and that's one of the most exciting things to me in this space is how DeSciWorld can connect people to DeSci. And it's going to be, in the beginning when I heard about DeSci, it was basically through VitaDAO. And now it just seems like there's new projects popping up nearly every day. And it's just really fun to be able to connect with all these different people in the space and see what's happening. And in terms of my sort of background in the crypto space, Web3, I'm involved in a number of DAOs, primarily City DAO and now Dsi World. And I'll pass it off to Lisa.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan, for the handoff. I'm Talissa. I'm hiding behind the DeSciWorld official account to run this space. But, I come from a similar background as Jelani. I'm a PhD candidate right now, so I'm in grad school in academia. And also very jaded and disillusioned by the whole system of it. I fell upon DeSci actually by finding Sarah Hamburg's Call for Scientists in a published journal. And it just kind of unfolded as such. I was participating a lot just in the Twitter discussion and dialogue through Dsi Chatter and things like that, and then happened to see, again, Josh's call for core team members and thought I'd shoot my shot and apply, and now I'm here. So with DSci specifically, I'm really interested in kind of challenging the culture of science and research as we know it through using all these new technologies and Web3 applications, of course, but also just in the sense of rebuilding the scientific community and broadening it to people and places that have yet to participate.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I really like what you said then about rebuilding the whole sort of thing. It's not necessarily broken, but it can certainly be improved in many ways. And this sort of like rebuilding is again something that underpins this whole DSci space. So thank you, Jelani, Ryan, and to Lisa. I'm going to pass over to Carolina. Carolina, do you want to sort of introduce yourself to everybody?
Yes. Good morning to everybody. I'm Carolina. I'm a marine biologist. I've been studying ecology and behavior of free-ranging coastal bottlenose dolphins for plus 10 years. And I came across DeSciWorld when looking for a platform for developing my own NFT collection for gathering funds to the nonprofit I belong here in Uruguay. You know, as you know, we at conservation biology have lots of problems regarding funding. Most of our research is south of most agendas because it does not have economic revenue for any government. For example, just to say a thing. So in this sense, we are always like struggling to research, to publish. And then we got into this vicious circle when you need to publish to get funding and you need funding to do research and then publish. So it's like most of the time we have to pay to work. We don't get paid for working. So when I discovered Dsi, I got very excited about all the solutions that this movement and is offering to overcome these structural issues that we have in the traditional science. So I am very bullish and I am very happy to become and to participate in this movement from the beginning. So that's it.
Nice. Yeah. Conservation is something that's kind of understated in DeSci, right? But DeSci is going to allow these decentralized funding channels, which will be amazing for conservation efforts in the future. So Jack, just going to pass over to you.
Hey everybody, it's great to be here. So my background is in, I come from the world of medical research, specifically patient advocacy, and I came into DSI really exploring alternative funding mechanisms for patients, rare diseases, rare conditions. I've done fundraising for nonprofits before, and really looking at ways to use Web3 to drive revenue towards, all sorts of different promising research. I've joined Josh. We're building out his products as far as aggregation. We're working on NFTs geared towards all sorts of causes. It's been really rewarding, and I think we have a lot of opportunity to make some really positive impacts.
Agreed. I think it's going to be nice. I think we're going to be doing all of that together. Anthony, I do want to invite you to the stage, but I'm not a host. So if Jelani or Ryan or Talisa, you can invite Anthony to introduce himself, then we can finish off the introductions. Anthony, go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, great. So my name is Anthony, and I'm from Poland. I studied biotechnology. So academia, science, and their issues aren't foreign to me. I specialized in molecular modeling and did fair share of research in that field. And I also did a little bit of open source programming in the software that's used for research, for drug development. And these are the reasons that the proposition that DeSci has as a space really spoke to me. However, I have also been investing in crypto since 2018. And that's why, from team's perspective, I guess I would say I'm more on the crypto native side of things. But when it comes to the team, I'm very flexible and I try to contribute pretty much in any way I can. But one of the issues that I like to think about, one of the things that we care about, is how do we onboard crypto native people to DeSci? Because it will be a big part of our community, I believe, and that's why I will briefly talk about it later.
Cool. Thank you, Anthony. Just to confirm that Anthony is my right-hand man in the degen space. We need crypto native people as well as DeSci native people in this space, in this project, because there's a certain level of economics that comes into a crypto project that's quite hard to get from an academic standpoint, because crypto is crazy. So it's very nice to have fellow degens in the team. Okay, so thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. I've written up some brief sort of notes and posted them to my own Twitter page. So if you want to speak to anyone in particular, please go and take their Twitters from there or directly from this call, and then you can sort of engage with whoever. So we're going to move on now to like a sort of brief overview of the entire DeSciWorld ecosystem itself. And I think because our principal product is our dashboard, our information aggregation dashboard for the Dsi space, I think we'll pass over to Ryan first, because Ryan sort of wants to cover this, and I think that's a good place to start. So Ryan, if you'd like to introduce the dashboard, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, the thing about our dashboard is we really want it to be valuable to anyone that looks at it, no matter what your background is. So whether you're deep into the DeSci space or you just heard about it, you can get value by just a quick glance, and it's super easy to understand, super clear. Right now we have 14 projects listed. We've got Genomes DAO, we've got Vita DAO, Axon DAO, and we keep adding more. And it's a fairly simple process to get listed. And one of our teammates, our team members, is going to go over that whole process later. But there's a really cool feature. So if you just click on a project, you're going to get a high-level overview, a little summary that just kind of goes into, okay, what is this project trying to do? What are they doing? It also shows if they have a token. It provides a link where you can get that token. It also is connected to their Twitter feed, and so you can see sort of the latest, what they're doing, the white paper, how to contribute to a project. It also has active members, which is defined right now as if they're the members are logged into their snapshot. List DAO proposals, and yeah, if you haven't taken a look, I recommend just logging on and checking it out. And yeah, that kind of covers it. I'm sure as time goes on, we're going to get input from our community and more people, and the dashboard is going to evolve into something more robust over time, even though it already provides a lot of information at a glance. And yeah, I'll pass it off there.
Thanks, Ryan. So yeah, I'm just going to remind everyone, if you go to DeSci.world, you can view our dashboard and get a very, an early look at what we're building. Whilst you type that into your toolbar, I'd like to invite Talisa to sort of briefly explain the POAP drop and the NFT drop that we have planned for this call. So everybody listening, if you follow the next steps, you'll be entitled to a free POAP, which, if you don't know, is a free NFT. It could be your first ever. I know some people in this audience that have not minted any NFTs. So listen to this and you can possibly have your very first one from DeSciWorld. So I'm just going to pass to Lisa.
Cool. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, so for all attendees that are in this space right now, you are eligible to enter our raffle for a microbes NFT. So if you join our Discord, it's linked in the pinned tweet at the top of this space. If you join our Discord, there will be a form to fill out the raffle. And if you fill out the raffle, you're also entitled to get a POAP, which is a proof of attendance, essentially. And it's free. It doesn't take anything else from you. The process will be that you'll join our Discord, you'll fill out your raffle form, and then you'll send us proof of confirmation that you filled out the raffle form, and we'll make sure that you are here with us in this space today. And then we'll send you a link to mint it. And it's super easy. And we'll be releasing POAPs with hopefully all of the spaces that we do. So you can sort of like collect these little badges as our space evolves, and it'll be really fun.
Yep. Totally agree. It will be super fun to see everybody's POAP library filled with DeSciWorld's POAPs. So remember, they are free to make, free to get. no charge. So go to our Discord and fill out the form which is pinned, and then get your free POAP. Okay, so I'd like to pass off to our sort of most popular, I suppose, aspect of our product so far, which is our NFT Spotlight, which when we first sort of put it together, we didn't realize just how busy it would be. Let me tell you, the backlog for potential projects on our NFT Spotlight is massive, which is fantastic. So just for a bit more details, I'm going to pass over to Carolina, who is our resident NFT expert.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, let me tell you something about NFTs. You know, the Dsi World vision is like to create a vibrant ecosystem that supports scientific communities around the world. In my opinion, I think that most people think that all NFTs are just worthless stuff that some degens and rich people buy for fun. So, but truth is that NFT can be much more than that. Yeah, in fact, they are like being used to represent anything that is unique and has an owner, you know, like being that beneficial to the person who bought it. Let's say that it can be used as proof of identity or intellectual property, like a ticket to events, governance rights, to store medical records as game assets, and of course as a way artists and musicians can distribute their art and peer-to-peer and have a fair royalties on their work. So I think that science NFTs are like the Dsi movement NFTs. They combine art and science, and I think they give scientists the opportunity to gather funds for their projects by selling scientific database art. And while artists inspire themselves to create beautiful pieces of digital art, and also they have the opportunity to be recognized and pay for that. So I think it promotes people to recognize, also promotes people to recognize the natural beauty of our world and our nature. And it could be like some sort of new renaissance, as Rodrigo, I think he's on the audience, once said, a very good friend of Dsi World, once said in our Discord. So regarding our products, the NFT Spotlight features Dsi projects that use NFT as a way to gather funds or to give their community, let's say, voting rights in the DAO they belong to, or any kind of benefits holders may have. So Dsi World enables users to mint, to view and share these exclusive projects. And we aim to feature the most impactful projects that will best represent the Dsi space.
Yeah, just to add on that, sorry. If you can, talking about the most impactful projects on the Dsi space, if you go right now to the DeSciWorld website, you'll see actually that we have a project live on the partnership space. So in terms of impactful projects, this is a very early sort of addition to the Dsi in the Metaverse project called Crypto Proteins by DNAverse. Go to the website and check it out if you're interested. There's a whitelist spot open for it. But sorry, Carolina, please carry on.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Josh, for saying that. So for this, we have a very specialized team that will help people to produce the minting contracts for the NFT projects, and we are coupling that with any technical support that may be necessary to help partners launch their project. So we can mint. Minting is hosted on our website, or can also be hosted on individual project site. And we can have like a partnership, like we have with Crypto Proteins, and they can be whitelisted there. So in addition to this technical assistance we offer, we also provide outreach for impact support projects. And these projects are like featured in our NFT Spotlight during a period of 2 weeks. And during this period, the sale will appear on our landing page and the cover on the NFT product section. So the project will receive exclusive rights to our channel in Discord. And we also will collaborate to organize AMAs and other events. So I think that in this sense, we are aiming to help new and developing projects to build a strong and thriving community for their launch. Yes, I also want to mention that the Dsi will have exclusive long-term partnership with Nftk, which is a curated NFT marketplace and gallery, and we have been given a separated and dedicated interface for hosting this Dsi NFTs. So future projects on our spotlight, we will also receive a guaranteed space on this platform.
Thank you, Carolina. Yeah, so you can see the NFT spotlight is quite in depth. There's a lot of benefits to launching your Dsi NFT through the Dsi World platform, including not just assistance with the creation of the NFT, but the actual community creation and co-marketing that comes with it. So if you do have an NFT project or know someone that does, and it's to do with science in some manner, come talk to us and we can talk about sort of helping you build it out and helping you sort of market it as well. So those two are the main products that are live right now: our dashboard, our information aggregator, and the NFT Launchpad / Spotlight service. More products are coming, and I can touch on these more concisely at the end. But for now, those are the two products that we have. And those are hopefully going to be the two main products that allow us to onboard new users into Dsi. Now, this means people from academia, non-crypto, but also people from crypto, your traditional degens. So I'm going to pass over to Jelani, who, as you heard, has some experience in the actual traditional science field, or the non-Dsi science field, and he's going to give us some sort of insight about how DeSciWorld will onboard non-crypto people or current scientists into the Dsi space.
Hi, thanks for that. Well, interestingly enough, or I guess not interestingly enough, but as detailed by both Josh and Carolina, a lot of the products that we have are as a source, as a fundamental to drive this interaction with the Dsi space, right? So one of the major barriers that we see for inclusion or incorporation or onboarding of people into space is that just people don't know about it, right? Most people are not aware of Dsi. Everyone is very up and up on DeFi and or old school, quote unquote, old school crypto. But Dsi is very, very new. And so we absolutely need avenues to onboard new people into this space. This is critical, especially for Dsi, because I think we're one of the few frameworks of the Web3 space that actually has real world impact with it, right? So, not to say that DeFi doesn't, but DeFi is not really going to replace traditional finance, at least not in the current iteration that it is right now. But I feel that even though Dsi is so young, it is in a state where we are actually providing impact to the scientific community and then by extension, the entire global community, right? VitaDAO, Molecule DAO's infrastructure of IP NFTs is revolutionary. It's groundbreaking. And it's allowing for, as mentioned before, these alternative sources of funding that scientists have been really scrounging and looking for a very, very long time now. And so our whole goal here is to signal boost these opportunities really, and onboard scientists, but also non-scientists. So as Jack mentioned, there are a slew of scientific adjacent populations, like patient populations, non-research based healthcare practitioners. And all of these people and all of these demographics are equally looking for ways to solve problems that are scientifically related, right? If you're an Alzheimer's patient and you've been dealing with this disease for a long time, or you've done genetic testing that shows that you are predisposed for this disease, and you've also come across the fact that the traditional Alzheimer's field of study has been really rampant with politics and it's kind of been shown to be debunked with its focus on amyloid proteins and so on, and you want to look for an alternative and you can contribute to an alternative, well, that is an incentive for you to do so. And so, again, our whole goal here is to do these signal boosting opportunities. And so we're reaching out and making contact with traditional science initiatives around the world to kind of collaborate with them and do these AMAs, hopefully start to do IRL events so we can signal boost this to the wider population within the crypto and Web3 space, but also outside of the crypto Web3 space. And again, in addition to these, scientific adjacent populations, we also have what are quote unquote called laymen. So people who are not scientific, not patients, not all these kind of things, but may have interest or align or be interested in contributing philanthropically to improving scientific discovery into the scientific industry, right? Because ultimately, everything that we use is science-based. And so again, these populations also need to be onboarded. And so we're trying to put together packages that will facilitate not just onboarding into Web3, but into the DeSci space itself. And so, yeah, I think another point that is not emphasized enough and that we really ourselves are very cognizant of and want to work on is that, a lot of the DeSci space right now is biomedically focused. And it is an important infrastructure. Biomedics affect everybody. Drug discovery is very important, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in the quote-unquote real world. But there's a slew of science that is not biomedical, right? Astronomy, physics, math, chemistry, all of these things are not being reflected in the DeSci space. And so we are actively going out and seeking, and that being said, there are protocols and there are projects that are building these kind of infrastructures or things that are related to these non-biomedical fields. And so we're actively seeking them out to have them hosted on our dashboard to increase their signal boost as well. Because again, DeSci is all forms of science, right? Whether it be physical science, medical science, theological, social sciences, environmental science. ReFi, I believe to a certain extent, also falls under this category. And we've seen the emergence of protocols that have claimed to be DeFi, ReFi, together. So they name them, so they call themselves ReSci. And so we're reaching out to all these people to onboard them and again to signal boost all of them.
Yeah, thanks, Shalani. So as you can see, there's so many different sort of factors that will bring someone to a DeSci space, but also so many things that DeSci must do in order to help bring those outside of DeSci, outside of crypto, in the traditional systems. We have to do a lot to help them feel comfortable working in this space and feel comfortable with these decentralized organizational structures, these decentralized currencies, with often a lack of transparency in terms of who and what backs them. These are things that scare people in general, and yeah, the macro is pretty terrifying as well. So keeping people sort of feeling secure and wanting to be in the space is going to be a mission, and that's what DeSciWorld is kind of here to try and do. So those are the sort of traditional science side, and then also we have the decentralized natives, the crypto natives. What makes them interested in DeSci? Right, this is a question I'm going to put to Anthony, who is currently not a speaker. So one of the hosts, could you please invite Anthony to be a speaker? But yeah, so the question is, we've figured out why scientists might want to join DeSci because of these misaligned incentives, because of this sort of paradigm of politicization, whatnot. But why would someone who's in crypto itself, right, someone who trades DeFi tokens, who sells shitcoins, why would someone like that be interested in the DeSci space? Why do you think, Anthony?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we spend a lot of time thinking about that, because onboarding, in general, onboarding crypto native people to DeSci is a bit tricky. It's a bit hard because science, in general, it is quite slow. There is not, I feel like there's not enough speculation, drama, and quick profit to be made in the space for your traditional crypto degen. So yeah, there's not too much money involved in that in the short term for a potential investor, because investing in research can take months, years, or sometimes even decades to get return on investment. But on the other hand, right now it's very hard to invest in early stage scientific projects, and DeSci can help with that. And it's one of decentralized science's killer apps, in my opinion. Like investing and helping researchers get funded is one of the things that can motivate someone to join the space from crypto native perspective. But we have now a bunch of tools and incentives other than that, which are more down to earth, I feel like, and there are some things you can have right now. And so there are more standard ones, like obviously our Discord server, which is a standard for any crypto slash NFT slash Dsi projects. We have our own NFT project, which is microbes, and we have early adopter benefits for holding that, which is also very common practice. So these are pretty standard for the NFT and crypto space. But we also have some other tools and some other incentives for these people to join. So as Carolina explained, we have NFT Spotlight product, which in my opinion can be a great tool for any NFT investor to see what sort of DeSci NFTs are coming out, or NFTs connected to science, which are coming out. So we serve as sort of this launchpad, and also we do a little bit of marketing for the project, and that's why I think from NFT investors perspective, we can serve as like sort of screening for these projects, because obviously we put our name on that, and we can't guarantee anything, but we really try hard to make these projects successful and make them good. Other than that, we have our dashboard, which from a perspective of someone who is in crypto but is not in DeSci yet, is a great tool to have an overview of the space and what it is, what projects are there, what projects what different projects do, what different projects care about, and which projects, for example, have token, which don't, and etc. So in crypto, we often say do your own research, and DeSciWorld is a great place to do your own research on the entire DeSci space. And the last thing we've got, which is like a tool specialized in bringing crypto degens to any project, is the Crew3 page, which is currently live at DciWorld.crew3.xyz. And I know we have POAPs and the raffle, but if someone really wants to go all in on having benefits from attending this call, then we also have a quest for joining this call if someone wanted to claim that. So basically, Crew3 is a platform for incentivizing any sort of community participation and activity. So projects incentivize people to join the Discord, to do other things for them, and they reward users for doing that. And we have that live right now, and will be and there's right now there's XP to be gained, but we plan to add more rewards there, and yeah, so in future this will be, I feel like this will be even bigger incentive to just join our community, do a few tasks here and there, and get rewarded for that. If you aren't a scientist, if you can't really participate in the space in a like professional or like very serious manner, then I feel like Crew3 is a good place to be, because you can participate and contribute and get rewarded for that, but you don't necessarily need to be very highly qualified to do that. And to sum up my words, I believe that crypto natives will be a big part of our community, and we will try our best to accommodate their stay. And if you have any suggestion from that perspective of things, so onboarding crypto natives into DeSci, please feel free to join our Discord and let us know, or DM me directly. That would be great, and we appreciate all the feedback from the community.
Cool. Thanks, Anthony. Ilani, did
Josh,
you want to say?
Yeah.
Go.
So before you go ahead, I think a lot of the points that Anthony bring up are apply to not just the crypto degens, but everybody in general. So, imagine the DeSci, so the DeSci tooling, the DeSci opportunities are very not built. They're not built out right now. But imagine a world where, and I know there are a handful of projects that are looking to do this, where they want to incentivize publishing, right? So as a scientist, you can crowdsource your publishing, not for necessarily IPs, but for just publishing papers, right? And you can be paid based off of how many people view your paper and all these kind of things. This is a possibility in the DeSci space, in the future of the DeSci space. And so with opportunities like that coming in, it makes sense, or it incentivizes, it provides an opportunity for non-scientists, just like Anthony mentioned, people who don't necessarily have the technical know-how, but have been shepherded in a way that they know that this is an interesting place or an interesting research project to fund. And then they may themselves receive a portion of that passive income. And so when we start to have toolings like these, things that emulate the DeFi space and provide a return on investment that isn't necessarily massive, like the release and licensing of a particular drug or IP, but these small individual sources of alternative income that over time can accumulate as you contribute to these funding opportunities, I think that will be valuable to both people in the space and people outside the space, and will draw in, sorry, not outside the space, but people who are non-scientifically trained, and will draw them in more and more. So I think there's a lot that we have not seen for the DeSci space. There's a lot that is currently being built out, and it's a very exciting space to be. I've heard a lot of people talk about how it's reminiscent of like 2018 DeFi, where there's a lot of rumbling, there's a lot of potential. And I think one thing that sets us a little bit apart is that we're a lot more substantial. There is a lot less space, I hope, for rugs and the like, because the impact is a lot more, exactly like I said, substantial, right? You can see the research, you can vet the researchers. There are panels of individuals that will vet these people for you. And so I think we have a lot of potential from that aspect.
Yeah, these are great points. I completely agree with you. The idea that, we could be like maybe 2018 or 2019 DeFi is really exciting to me, as and all of us on the DeSciWorld team, because we feel like we're building something that's part of a potential new paradigm of research and academia. And just to sort of toot DeSciWorld's horn here, the thing about DeSciWorld is that because we're information aggregators and we're sort of community incentivizers, the bigger the DeSci space gets, the bigger we are, because we grow with the space. So just as an example of what's to look forward to in the future really is that. And I suppose that kind of leads us nicely into the next section, which is to talk about our future plans. Now, there's 10 minutes left on the allotted 1 hour, and I think we should probably open it up to AMAs first, because I could talk for hours about the future plans for DeSciWorld, some which are in action and some which are planned but not currently in action. There's a lot to talk about there, and I could do it in 2 minutes, but I think it might be best to sort of open the floor first to the AMA in case people wanted to sort of ask questions in the next 10 minutes and had to be away, because we are going to go over our scheduled time at this rate. So I think it's open up now to anyone that wants to ask a question straight away. If not, then I'll continue on with the potential future plans or the confirmed future plans. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and then you can ask it and we can answer it. If no one raises their hand, then I think I will start with the future plan.
Hi.
Hey, to
Hey, it's I go by Fate. I'm currently an associate scientist at a drug discovery machine learning startup that's a partner of Verily. I'm heavy in the crypto NFT space as well as, I guess, what you might traditionally call a degen. But I've shared a little bit of success in the NFT space, and I actually recently just gave a presentation on Monday about DeSci to my company, and it was in an ASC kind of an associate scientist club like journal presentation. And what I really found out was that a lot of even younger scientists at my company don't understand crypto and don't understand really NFTs or the terminology of DeFi and how that applies to DeSci. And so I guess my comment was that, in creating communities, as I now have the experience with NFTs, the community is invaluable to the project or the projects. And so in terms of building that community, I think that of course, yeah, you want to have degens, in the mix, but I think that really bringing scientists and the people performing a lot of this research is of great importance to DeSci, and really having scientists understand just that there's other avenues from our traditional kind of career trajectories. Um, I think that's really important. And then my other comment was that really I think in NFT space, because it moves so quickly, you have to really pay attention to trends and to meta. And I think that science in general kind of fails to capitalize on pop culture trends as well. And how this relates to the NFT space is that, like, for instance, right now there's kind of a free mint meta going on, right? A lot of projects offer you the ability to mint for free. And the project still makes revenue from secondary sales and that kind of volume and sales. But um, I was thinking, have you guys ever thought about, like, specifically in DeSci, about making the microbes like a free mint?
Hey, thanks for the comments and the question at the end. So, yeah, I mean, I just want to touch on what you said originally, in that it's important to bring scientists, the existing scientists, into the space to sort of let them know what's available to them. And I think that for me, that's the most important point, right? Is to have the infrastructure, the products, the tech ready, so that when the scientists do know about DeSci, they can actually get benefit from it. And we are definitely in the early stages of the DeSci space, but there are already, you can see VitaDAO, you can see a number of other projects that have even alphas, like DeSci Labs is alpha, which if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. They're building the products and some are already built. And like, this is the sort of stage where scientists will start to look, they'll start to kind of prick their ears up and start to think. It's the application of this technology, application of these products that's going to bring people over, I think, when they actually see how they can use them. So, and to go to your NFT point, so yeah, just briefly, when we have sort of this quote unquote focus on, partial focus on bringing crypto natives into the space, this is part of that whole capturing the trend thing that you're talking about there. Because the Web3 space does kind of mix financialization in with the tech and the ethos of the underlying, for example, the science, and that's by design, I suppose, to incentivize people to be involved and to keep people sovereign. But yeah, this sort of degen tracking of the ecosystem of the NFT trends is a huge part of DeSci World, and you can kind of see from our aesthetic, from our design, from our NFT drop itself, that we're trying to, and we think succeeding to, sort of stay onto this interesting meta narratives that are going through the crypto space. And back to your point about free mint for the microbes NFT. Firstly, no, primarily because we started as a paid mint, and it would be incredibly unfair to those that paid to then ask them to not pay for future uses. We could separate it such that those who have originally paid have a different classification to the new one, but that's not going to happen for a number of reasons. The first one is that the microbes NFT, whilst it hasn't sold out yet, is actually going to become a very scarce, sought after piece, sought after NFT in the Dsi World ecosystem. We have a number of things coming, but one of the things that underpins the whole Dsi World ecosystem in terms of being a valued community member and gaining benefits from all of the services and the products and the token economy that we're going to put out is to hold a microbes NFT. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of utility points on our Git book, which you can go and read in more detail. But put broadly, you will be the VIP community members in Dsi World, right? There's 999 of these to be possible to be minted, and right now Dsi World has about 1,800 Twitter followers and just under 900 people on Discord. And bear in mind, we haven't launched any of our major products in terms of like the final versions, and we have a big stuff coming, which I'll briefly touch at the end of this call when we talk about the future plans. But this is essentially the token economy, the raise that comes before it, and what this means for Dsi World. So to answer your question, no, we don't plan to make microbes a free mint because A, it would dilute the quality, dilute the concept of microbes, and B, it's going to be worth money soon. No financial advice, sorry. It's potentially going to be worth money soon when the Dsi World token economy becomes actually sort of live. Does that answer your questions?
Yes, totally. And thank you very much for bringing me up. I did want to add that, I think that the use of POAPs is brilliant, and it's a great use case for how POAPs might serve as forms of credentials in the future, or education, or continuing education. And so yeah, I think that's a really good different kind of way of a free mint, basically. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. And I'm already in the Discord, so I am looking to possibly transition to Dsi full time in the future. So you will hear a lot more from me.
Yeah,
thank you.
Definitely. Reach out if you want to have a little chat about anything. If you want some advice about where to maybe get onboarded or start work potentially, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the team.
Okay, thank you so much.
Cool. I think we'll go to do this one question that popped up in Discord because it's been asked for. So we'll do this first, and then I'm going to briefly sort of go through the roadmap for Dsi World, and anyone that wants to stay, please do. Just to remind you, there is a POAP and an NFT raffle available by going to our Discord and finding on the announcements channel a form to fill out, which will give you access to the POAP for free and also enter you into a raffle to win a free microbes NFT. So the question that we got from the Discord, let me just read it, is, does Dsi World have any relationships or partnerships with universities? So this is a really important question. And in fact, if you go to our website right now, we had originally had some sort of partnerships to announce at the bottom, which we need to remove because it's not quite official and not quite done. So we're going to go and remove those. However, regarding this concept of relationships and partnerships with universities, myself personally, I have spoken to about 5 or 6 UK universities who want Dsi World, when we're ready, to come around and basically do a roadshow. Like at a careers fair, you can sort of display what Dsi World is or what Dsi is and help to sort of maybe incentivize their students or just make them more interested in science in general. So this is something that we're actually working on as a structured outreach program. Once Dsi World sort of goes live with its funding and its main, with its main sort of push, right now we're in build phase, right? But we are doing a raise and it's going quite nicely. And once we have enough sort of resources, we will be going around to universities to appear there, quite like events and conferences, but actually just at universities. And the idea of this is to onboard young scientists who are either in the system and a bit disillusioned, like our Talisa, or maybe those who aren't even in the system and want to find something on the side or want to try something new. So for us, universities and existing students or upcoming students are going to be a massive, massive participant in the Dsi World ecosystem. And we're envisaging global roadshows, in different countries around the world, incentivizing students with our token economy, helping people to sort of get on board and into Dsi in an in-person fashion. So for us, yes, universities and general sort of research groups are going to be a massive, massive part of our community and our ecosystem. If there's any other questions, please put your hand up. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and sort of start sharing with you the quote unquote alpha of Dsi World's future plans. So I'll give it like 10 seconds or so to see if anyone asks a question. Otherwise, I will move on. Okay, cool. So Dsi World's future is quite exciting, and I'll sort of briefly touch on this now. We are currently doing a strategic partnership round, and this is for select sort of invite-only participants from the Dsi, the DAO, and the DeFi space. People that we're not looking for VC funding, because VC funding tends to be cash only with no sort of other value adds, and we don't really need that. We need people to help us build out this community, because this is what Dsi World is. So we're doing a fairly small strategic partnership round, and this is to basically underpin the economy, the token economy, which will launch sometime towards the end of maybe September, October, maybe November, if we need more time. And this token economy will become the thing that runs the entire Dsi World ecosystem. Dsi World's ecosystem is planning to grow exponentially with a number of different products, whilst making sure that the user experience is still concise. So we have obviously the dashboard, we have the NFT spotlight, we have the upcoming peer-to-peer research funding marketplace, we have the community as a service. The community as a service itself is essentially run by the Dsi token. Put briefly, the Dsi token is required for payment from the clients who would want to do community as a service, who want to use the Dsi World's research community for their own research products. So that is the primary function of the token. The Dsi token is also used for governance. It can be staked to earn VE Dsi, which is voting escrow Dsi. This essentially keeps those that are interested in governing the platform in a longer term relationship with Dsi. Dsi stakers also gain access to a revenue stream, which is in fact the vast majority of the funds which Dsi World earns through all of its products, all of its services. This classifies as a revenue stream. This revenue stream is actually redistributed to the Dsi holders, who then stake their Dsi tokens, so they earn governance voting rights, and they also earn a share of protocol revenue fees. This is a very, very high level overview of it, and we have a white paper which is just about to go live on our website, which has much more details about all of these things, should you wish to look into it. So essentially, yeah, the Dsi World token is being raised right now. It's being created and developed. Once it goes live, it will unlock the full potential of the Dsi World ecosystem. Further from that, we will be doing a lot of content creation, sort of cultural stuff to, yeah, as Fate said earlier, he said about the fact that the culture of Dsi and the culture of science are somewhat at odds. We're trying to sort of bring the attractive culture of Dsi out and trying to bring the scientists into it because of this culture, right? Culture essentially changes society, and we're going to be part of those cultural changes in Dsi. So content will be anything like how to help scientists on board, how to explain the benefits of Dsi to scientists through visual, through audio, podcasts, movies, this sort of thing. It will be more art-based things as well, because art and science do go together quite a lot. Just as an example, sound healing. Okay, we have some people applying to do sound healing pieces through our platform, and this would be something that the Dsi World treasury will support. All of these things that we're doing, including real life events, including content creation, all of these are underpinned by the Dsi token. So this is a Dsi token economy. There's some really interesting mechanics at play from my past experience working in DeFi and DAOs that are included in the white paper, which I recommend you all to read should you be interested. But again, the pre-sale is sort of in a couple months' time. There's no huge rush on it, but just make sure you keep informed on what we're up to. And again, the Dsi token is going to be accompanied by the Microbes NFT. So if you haven't had a look at the Microbes NFT or haven't had a look at the benefits, I encourage you to go and do so. I won't bore you all with them now because I've already spoken about them. But yes, if you want to be a core supporter, early adopter, VIP, quote unquote VIP member of the Dsi World community in these early stages, I do recommend you checking out the Microbes. So yeah, that's essentially our plans for the future. It's huge. It's a lot of work. but we have a really driven team and a lot of very interested people looking on for us and supporting us every step of the way. This for our first AMA, this was amazing. This was really nice for everybody to come and introduce themselves, to introduce the product, and to see so many people in the audience listening. So I'm going to open it up again for the last 5 minutes to the community and ask if anyone has any questions about Dsi World, about our platform, our future plans, or about any of us as team members. So if you do have any questions, please raise your hand, apply to speak, and we'll bring you to the stage and you can ask.
In the meantime, if I may, I want to put out a call to action to everybody listening and to their individual networks. Diversity, inclusion, and equity in the DeSci space is an imperative for us. It's a major mission for myself and the rest of the team. As I'm sure you can all see, our team is relatively diverse. We have a group of people from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different cultural instances. And we're looking to bring this same simile to the DeSci space, right? A major issue in traditional science is its monoculture and the lack of representation that is very important for the future of not just nascent scientists, but the world itself. And so I ask everybody to please go ahead and interact as much as you can with various communities, various organizations, and there are a lot of them, and bring them to the forefront and preach the notion of DeSci and the need for inclusion of all forms of diversity into the space. We will be launching our own initiatives. We have a few already in the back end being put forward. But again, as I say a lot, science is a contact sport. Web3 is absolutely a contact sport. And so I beg everybody here, please do your utmost, learn about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Please put this as the forefront of your minds, and let's make the DeSci space a very inclusive space that'll help it propel it above the traditional scientific space.
Yeah, thank you, Jelani. I just want to sort of touch on that again to say, because in light of what Jelani...
Oh, sorry. I wanted to add something that Jelani said. And we are working also to drop any language barriers. So if you are not native, if you're not English native, but you want to reach us and you want to talk, don't be afraid, just talk. And we have, I myself, I'm from Uruguay, so I can also Portuguese, and we have another core team members who speaks other languages, so don't be afraid, just jump in and we can talk.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Carolina. Yeah, so just to make sure people know, we have multiple different languages supported: French, Spanish, Portuguese, some Chinese, some Polish, a few others floating around. So if you are a foreign language speaker or you have friends that are, please also invite them to the platform. And just, I want to touch again on what Jelani said about sort of the diversity and inclusion of the space in DeSci. So we are actually beginning to prepare for a Dsi World ethics or Dsi World code of conduct, and this is going to be quite unique in the DeSci space as of now. Currently, we haven't. Sorry. So, Jelani, can you mute your mic, please?
Sorry.
Thank you. All good. Yeah. So right now, the DeSci space is quite disparate, and we actually had a small workshop with Foresight Institute recently about discussing DeSci ethics or ethics in DeSci, and it was very clear very early on that it's very hard to reach a consensus in terms of ethical standpoint in DeSci, what it means to be ethical in DeSci. So we are proposing, as Dsi World is proposing, as a sort of trailblazer pioneer for this effort, is to create a Dsi World code of conduct, a Dsi World ethics code, which Dsi World participants should abide by in order to use. And this will actually be a community iterated affair. We're going to create it internally. We have already sort of finished it nearly. And once it's at a point where we want to present it, we will then do AMAs with the community, with you guys, to help us reiterate on this code of conduct. So together we can come to some agreement of what it is that we need to do to remain ethical within this space. It's going to be fiery, in my opinion, and I really look forward to that, because the thing that I'm most excited about the Web3 space is this idea of being able to have different points of view openly and have discourse about it, because aggressive discourse can lead to great results. And I think that whilst we want to keep everything friendly, there is going to be some differing points of view, especially in this ethical space. And I think that that's a good thing. I think that's fine. So if everyone who's sort of on this call, make sure you follow Dsi World on Twitter, and we will be posting more information about this group, sort of community-driven code of ethics. So please join all those discussions as they happen. We'll end up sort of accumulating these people who have contributed. You will all be listed as contributors in the code of conduct. So it's going to be quite a new thing for the DeSci space, and I really hope everybody here can join us in that endeavor. So I want to again ask if there's anyone who has any questions, and if not, I'll hand over to the team if they have anything else to say, and if not, then we can end this space soon. Lisa.
Yeah, I just wanted to give one last reminder to anybody who, we have a requested speaker. I'll let you come up, but just really quick, I just wanted to reiterate that we have a raffle open for a free Microbes NFT. If you join our Discord, you'll find the form there. I've gotten a couple requests already from people who have already filled it out, so that's great. I'm glad it's working. But yes, all of you attendees are eligible for the raffle and also a free POAP, so definitely get on that. And I will bring up Sava.
Sorry, I was just trying to unmute. Yeah, just wondering what's sort of specifically the difference between a DeSci code of ethics and just a general scientific code of ethics? I mean, are you guys working with sort of more established institutions around that, just given that like things like DIY bio stuff and, people doing gain of function research in their homes and all that sort of stuff, these are all issues that might happen with DeSci, but also with just normal, like outside DeSci.
Yeah, it's a good point. There are of course, some crossovers between the open science, the bio DIY space, and the DeSci space. But the difference with DeSci is that it's kind of integrating Web3 technology itself. Web3 technology gives this framework, gives this infrastructure to allow people to have sort of self-sovereignty over their funds, over their transfer of information, over the way they sort of interact with funding, they interact with information exchange. Basically, this sort of, you are the owner of your own money, of your own data, of your own sort of existence in DeSci is, for many people, the best part about the space, for me included. It's the best part about the space, but it does present new problems, right? It presents new problems such that you can have a much more disconnected funding stream. You can have a much more anonymous funding stream. You can have a much more, potentially a much larger impact in this sort of decentralized organization space, rather than if you did so in the real world. When you organize yourself as a bunch of scientists in the real world, there's a larger paper trail, so to speak, of money, of communications, of where you guys live and operate. But in the DeSci space, it's almost optimized in a way for anonymity, and this is a problem, right? This can cause many problems. It causes many solutions, and it has its benefits for sure. But it's gonna be potentially dangerous, especially as you say with the biotech stuff. How do you police biotech stuff when you can potentially have someone funding tens of millions of dollars from an anonymous source with virtually no paper trail? So this opens up slightly different ways to deal with the ethical question, because often when you have someone who's interacting with Dsi World's platform, they are just interacting from a Web3 wallet, right? We know their wallet address and nothing else. How do you square that off, right? Do you offer people to, do you ask people to KYC in order to use the platform? For us, that's not an option, because it kind of defeats the whole point of what Dsi World and DeSci is built to do, is this sort of free access. But if you have no KYC and you have anonymous distributed persons, what is it in the DeSci? What ethics do you need to consider when operating in here, and how do you try and ask people to abide by those ethics? So these are all the questions that we're trying to answer. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's useful. I think it's something I've been thinking about as well, but it's primarily, I guess, like more of a KYC AML thing, making sure, you know, you're not getting funding from sort of, you know, drug dealing or whatever, or terrorism. But I still think like that's more on the supply side, but I guess more on like what you're actually going to do with the money probably has a lot more overlap with just traditional science, like making sure that, you know, you're not going to do gain of function research or like look at things that are, you know, could cause existential threats or something like that, which probably, you know, has overlap with just, you know, around AGI and things. Just that there's a lot of overlap with just any kind of science.
Yeah, I completely agree. But the interesting thing, Sava, is that I think I'd like to talk to you more about this privately, I suppose, but I think we align possibly in what you just said on the concerns, especially with things like existential threat from gain of function from AGI. But there are people out there that are keen supporters of unvetted, unfiltered access to this research because they believe that progress is the way forward, right? Especially in the AGI space, there's a lot of concerning movements there. And the thing is that people I've spoken to directly to their faces about this, and I respect them, and I think they're nice people, but we have completely differing points of view on whether or not these things should be accepted. And if you go to these people who are trying to do, you know, quick, effective research for the benefit of the research, but regardless of what happens in the meantime, they would say, well, why should there be an ethical restraint against this in the DeSci space? Because this is what DeSci is all about. It's to allow us to do the free research that we wanted. And begrudgingly, I tend to agree with them that they have a point, that there is some limits to this space, which is going to be arbitrary. KYC AML is an arbitrary limit, which we don't want to put on DeSciWorld, but other people may require that. So it's like, how do you square this off, right? How do you get people to agree on things when they're seemingly part of, you know, they're both nice people, they both have good intentions, but one believes progress over the other, and one thinks that we should be more careful. This is the kind of point. So what DeSciWorld is trying to do with our ethical code of conduct, the community one, is we're trying to put forward a precedent for the DeSci space to show each individual project can offer this clarity, offer this ethical code by which others that join the community can say, right, I agree with these guys, I'm going to join them. Doing it as a whole space is very difficult. We don't have the regulatory bodies that the traditional spaces have, and even those get it wrong often, right?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's just, I guess it's just more of a consensus issue and getting, you know, just like anything, coordination problem.
Yeah, consensus on an ethical document is not not going to be fun to try and reach. But I would love to see you, Sava, on the panel during this discussion that DeSciWorld is going to have. It'd be really interesting to hear your voice there, because you seem to have thought a lot about it. So that's great.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks. Yeah, be glad. Awesome.
Cheers. Okay, so if there's anyone else that has any other questions, please put your hand up and ask. Otherwise, we have actually got to record a podcast in 10 minutes, Jelani and I, which we will also release later. And Rue is in the audience. Thank you for listening to us, Rue. So yeah, I'm going to just end this call out here. Double reminder again for the form to fill out in our Discord. So if you want a potential for a free Microbes NFT and you want a free POAP, go fill out the form which is in our Discord. Okay, so thank you everyone. We're going to close this out now, and thank you to the whole DeSciWorld core team for joining and chatting with everybody. I'd say it's been very successful for our first big team AMA.